Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurureva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Samasta Jana Kalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram Sadgurum Brahma Vidvaram. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Vaktum Subodha Vedantam Pravruto Hyabudopyaham Kripaya Yasya Tam Vande Shri Ganesham Punah Punah Vande Saraswatim Devim Sadgurum Me Mahamatim Sita Sameta Shri Ramam Yachantu Shubhadam Matim. Sadhanamantarangam kim Sadhanamantarangam kim Bahirangam kimuchyate Bahirangam kimuchyate Chitta Shuddhi Samadhana Chitta Shuddhi Samadhana Karakam Sadhanam Bahihi Karakam Sadhanam Bahihi Yajñodanam tapaschadi Yajñodanam tapaschadi Sagunopasanam japaha Sagunopasanam japaha Sadhanam bahirangam tat Sadhanam bahirangam tat Katyate shastra sajjanaihi Katyate shastra sajjanaihi.
Our topic that we have been seeing is now going into what are the means to achieving our goal. Our goal of moksha is called praptasya praptihi. It means it is something which is ever present and with us. Yeah. This is compared to other worldly goals, which are things we have to go and attain. They are not with us. Yeah. So when something is not with us and we have to go get it, that means we are separated from it through space or time, then that is called apraptasya praptihi. Something ungained must be gained. For that, we have to engage in karma. However, moksha now does not come under this category. Moksha comes under the other category of something which is gained but must be revealed or recognized. So it is with us but must be recognized. This is called praptasya praptihi, and this recognition is called jnanam, knowledge. This is what the word jnanam means, to recognize. Now, in coming to recognize anything, two factors are there. One, somebody must point out that thing to you. Otherwise, you also won't see it. Yeah? You won't recognize it, sorry. You may see it, but you don't recognize it. I'll give an example. When you go to a garden and you don't know any flowers in the garden, yeah? And then when you walk through the garden with some people, and later on they say, oh, the hibiscus is coming out. Oh, camellias are coming out. You know, the camellias are now blossoming because of this season. Camellias are coming out. And You saw that flower, but you don't know that that flower is a camellia. So when they say camellias are blossoming, of course, to avoid looking silly, you say, yeah. But actually, you don't know what a camellia is. So, So how do you come to recognize? You saw it actually. But hey, when we passed that red flower, that bush, all the red flowers coming out, that is camellia. Oh, someone with knowledge has to point that out to you. Then you come to recognize it. The recognition. You saw it, but you did not recognize it. Yeah. In spiritual path, recognition is important. You must recognize what is there. Yeah. Therefore, someone with knowledge must point that out. That's why we need the Brahmanishta Guru who has to tell us, this is moksha, this is who you are. However, there's another obstacle, that when people point things out to us, our mind can be distracted. So sometimes that person is pointing to it and saying, this is it, but your attention is somewhere else. Yeah. So they're saying, this is the camellia, but you're too busy looking at your phone. Yeah. Or you can't quite understand which one is the camellia, and so you misunderstand it. So even though instruction is given, there is kind of this dullness of the mind. Because of the dullness of the mind, we don't grasp things clearly. So even though knowledge has been imparted, because of dullness of the mind, we don't grasp, and distraction of the mind, we don't grasp. So these are the obstacles we have towards recognizing anything. These are the obstacles. Yeah. So therefore, in this path of knowledge or recognition, we have to overcome these three obstacles: dullness of the mind, distraction of the mind, and then lack of knowledge itself, like not even knowing which one is which. Yeah. So they have subdivided these things. They have said, to deal with dullness of mind and to deal with distraction of mind, there's a special type of sadhanas which are used. And to deal with recognition, the final recognition, that's a different type of sadhana. So one type of sadhana is called Bahiranga, outside sadhanas. And the other type of sadhana is called Antaranga. Yeah. The Bahiranga sadhanas, external sadhanas, they're called external because they allow you to engage your body. Your body can be engaged when you do Bahiranga sadhanas, the physical apparatus. Yeah. And their purpose is to do what? Remove dullness and remove distraction. This is otherwise called in Shastric language, Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Samadhanam. Samadhanam, single-pointedness, that removes distraction. Chitta Shuddhi, purification, that removes dullness. Yeah. So Chitta Shuddhi gets rid of dullness. Chitta Samadhanam gets rid of distraction. And then we are ready for clear recognition. And that path of clear recognition then is called Antaranga Sadhana. That's internal sadhanas. Because there, no physical action is required. It is just clear understanding that is required. Someone's pointing it to you, you are focused, you are attentive, you are alert, and all you need to do is just pay attention and comprehend their words properly, and recognition takes place. It's called Antaranga Sadhana. Nothing else is needed to be done. So this is the two types of sadhanas which are given in this path of knowledge or recognition. To gain something which you already have. And we talk, this is not just for moksha, we say even worldly goals, there are many worldly goals which we already possess but we don't recognize. And we talked about things like love and respect. Love and respect, many times we are loved abundantly by the people around us. We are respected abundantly by the people around us, but we fail to recognize it. Yeah. Sometimes someone just waits for you to come and sit down before they eat. That's a sign of respect, actually. But we were distracted looking at the phone. Why is it taking so long for this breakfast to come? And why is it taking so long? Where is it? Where's my water? We keep on complaining. But the fact that people even waited to eat with you, that's a sign of respect. Yeah. And then they wanted to all eat together. Let's all eat together. Then I want affection. That's a sign of affection. We want to be in your company. We want to eat in your company. We want to do things with you. Yeah. That's a sign of affection. Sometimes, when we get tired of people, then we say, this is just a headache only. Everything they have to do with me only. Why can't they leave me alone? But then why are they doing it? Because they like you. They like you. They love you. That's why they want you to be involved. It's only later on when you don't get invited to anything that you realize, oh, this is what it feels like to be unloved. Otherwise, we didn't know that's what it felt like to be unloved. Later on, no invitations come. No one invites you for food. No one cooks for you. Everyone just says, food is in the fridge. If you're lucky, food is in the fridge. If you're unlucky, food is in the supermarket. You just need to go get it, come back, cook it, and then you can eat it. But food is there. Don't worry. Food is there. It's just in one place or another. Yeah. So then you realize, oh, actually, they had so much love for me. They had so much affection for me. But I was not paying attention. I was not paying attention. Yeah. Little children often have lots of love. But sometimes we are so busy doing something else that we don't recognize that. Teenagers also do show respect. They do show respect to parents, but sometimes we fail to recognize that. We can't quite see that. Yeah. So even this part of knowledge, recognizing things which are with you, is very important even in worldly life. In worldly life, this is paramount. Yeah. And that's why that worldly life can be a training for your spiritual life, because finally moksha is that which is already with you. Praptasya prapti. Okay. So now, understanding this is the background, we are now looking at different types of Bahiranga sadhanas. Bahiranga sadhanas. Sadhanas which involve our physical apparatus. And these sadhanas, their purpose is to give chitta shuddhi and chitta samadhana. Yeah. Chitta shuddhi, purify the mind, get rid of dullness. Chitta samadhanam, make it single pointed, get rid of distraction. Okay. So this is what they are trying to achieve. These sadhanas will not give you moksha directly, because they don't involve recognition. A process of recognition is not involved. They are just preparing the mind for that recognition. They are just telling that person, camellia is over here, and then you take that person's face and you gently push it over there. That's what they're doing. Yeah, because sometimes when people don't pay any attention, you have to take their face and then push their face over here and say, this is what you're supposed to pay attention to. So that's what Chitta Shuddhi, Chitta Samadhanam is doing. Last week we saw Dhanam, because if we look, the ones that were given, Yajño Dhanam Tapaschadi Sagunopasanam Japaha. These have been given in that verse. So Yajña, sacrifice, worship. Dhanam, charity, giving. Tapas, single-pointedness. Adi, etc. means others are there as well. Sagunopasanam, upasana, meditating upon God. Yeah. And japaha, chanting a mantra. These are 5 that are given, but many more are there. Many more are there. Only these 5 are given. Now, last week we looked at Dhanam and we looked at Abhaya Dhanam, different type of Dhanam. The Dhanam of giving fearlessness to people. that we are trying to make people, otherwise make them feel comfortable in our presence. Vedanta means that. They should feel comfortable in our presence. They should feel so much trust in our presence and confidence within us that they are willing to share. Yeah, share wholeheartedly their experience of life, their anxieties in life, aspirations in life. Well, earlier we gave a talk a long time ago on the graph, you know, all these type of things, the GRAF. Actually, quiz. Does anyone know what GRAF stands for? You can do quiz. You can turn your microphone on. What does the GRAF stand for? I think I did it with this class.
Grief.
Grief.
Regrets.
Regrets.
Aspirations.
Aspirations.
And fears.
Fears.
And the opposite is gratitude.
Yes.
Respect and
aspiration was the positive one. Apathy was the negative one. Aspiration is the counter for apathy. Good. Yes. And the last one, fear and
faith.
Faith. Oh, they have listened. They have got. I'll give you 7 out of 8 for that. Good work. I had to give one answer, so 7 out of 8. That's very good. Now, these are some of the things that if we are able to give abhaya dhanam, people will share. They will be able to share their grievances. They will be able to share their regrets. They can share their apathy. They can share their fears. Fears is a big one. We're very hesitant to share fear because we look vulnerable, weak. But it's very important in close relationships that this is understood. In close relationships, this is imperative. This will measure actually how close you are to a person. Not the duration of time. The duration of time you spend with people does not measure how close you are. Because you can have fun time friends, you know, fun time friends are people you love hanging out with, going to movies and parties and all that, but you actually never share anything with them. Because these things are a bit too personal. That means you're actually not that close with that person. You spend a lot of time, but you're not close. Your proximity and depth of relationship will always be measured by understanding these elements of a person. Yeah. So if a person can give abhaya dhanam, make someone feel extremely comfortable, then you will find these things get shared in the relationship. Okay. And that forges a very strong relationship amongst people. Okay. So that's why abhaya dhanam is very important, because it strengthens relationships. That's what it does. Okay. So we saw that last week. Now I want to move on to another topic. That topic, tapas. We'll look at tapas this week. Okay. Now, tapas, generally we understand tapas as austerity. It's always translated as penance and austerity. And I think both of these words are not very exciting if you in English. Penance and austerity don't sound very exciting. They're not things, oh, in the morning I can't wait to do penance. Oh, tomorrow, looking forward to it. Big day of austerities tomorrow. I'm very excited. Yeah, put away the ice cream. It's time for penance. People don't get excited by these words. I think both these words are not very attractive translation. And even the Sanskrit word tapas also is not, we know tapas. It's also not very exciting. You know why? Because most of the time, I know for me, growing up, you know, we used to read this Ama Chitrakatha comics, you know, and that's why you see people doing tapas. And all the tapas that they showed there was one person standing on one leg in the middle of the summer with the heat blazing on their head with fire around them. And Om Namah Shivaya, Om. And they invariably did it for 10,000 years. I don't know why the 10,000 years was a quota that they had to fulfill. And so when you hear about tapas standing in hot sun 10,000 years, one-legged, chanting Om Namah Shivaya, generally it doesn't get you inspired. If you think about that versus having a nice picnic outside, eating ice cream, you generally go picnic and ice cream and you avoid the 10,000 years of tapas. So, you know, our exposure to tapas is one which is very unfriendly, actually. Shastra actually calls this type of tapas, where people persecute their body. It's called ugra tapas. It's called tamasic tapas. So it is a type of tapas, but it's a very low form. It's a basic low form. It's called tamasic tapas. That's why asuras are mainly doing all these things, and then they get some power, you know, and then from that power they go harass everyone else. Now, in Shastra, there's a much more sensible definition of tapas, and that is manasascha indriyanam cha hyaikagriyam paramam tapaha. Now, what does that mean? Aikagriyam, single pointedness of what? Mana and indriyas, mind and senses. Single pointedness of mind and senses is called tapas. Okay, this is the definition we have to work with. We are not going to work with the definition of 10,000 years Om Namah Shivaya in the blazing heat. Okay, we have to purge that definition from our mind, otherwise this whole tapas becomes very unattractive. Now, if I say, do you want to have greater concentration? Do you want to have greater focus? Then you say, oh, yes. Are you interested in enhancing your concentration and focus? Yes. That's essentially what it is. It is focus and concentration of your senses and the mind behind it. Yeah. So senses means that we should be able to apply our senses to one object and remain with it, and not get distracted by other objects that are there. So if I'm reading a book, yeah, and then my phone is sitting next to me and bleep, 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 lights are coming, flashes, bleeps and all that are happening, because notifications. Some people in the world potentially love me, so I better quickly check if they still love me and better respond to them. But now if I'm reading that book, do I get distracted by that? Do I get distracted by a phone? Some people get distracted, not even by their phone, by any phone in the house, they get distracted. Somebody's phone goes up, they get distracted. Yeah? And so, focus of senses means, can you just keep your senses on what is in front of you? Yeah? Just keep your eyes on the book. That's it. That's what focus of senses mean. Keep your eyes or the sense organ connected to the sense object. Yeah? That's what that means. Yeah. So that's what focus of senses means. The second one is focus of mind. Mind and intellect. That means now when I'm reading, am I concentrating? Am I actually grasping what is taking place? Sometimes my eyes are there, but my attention is gone somewhere else. We say my mind is wandering. My mind is wandering. Yeah. So sometimes my eyes and my organs, sense organs, are engaged. I'm cutting the vegetables, but I'm not paying attention. My mind is somewhere else, and then with the vegetables, I cut myself and add that into the soup and rasam as well. So a little bit of me has gone into that as well. Yeah, I poured my heart. Everything has been poured out into this food. Yeah, literally has gone into the food as well. But you do not pay attention. Yeah. So, do you understand the difference now? Senses and mind. So senses mean sense organ should be in constant contact with sense object. And mind means that the mind should be focused. So when a sense organ is contacting the object, the mind is fully behind it with full attention. Full attention. Yeah. This is actually called tapas. This is called tapas. So all these activities of these people standing on rocks 10,000 years in the summer heat, in the winter rain, all these things is only to forge this essential quality. This is the essence of tapas. Single pointedness of mind and senses is the essence. It was practiced in different ways. So for these people, they practiced it in ugra tapas. Then they did these type of harsh physical deprivation and persecution. Some people still do it today, and it can be helpful. It can be helpful if there's some tamo gun. If there's a lot of tamo gun in the system, then sometimes this physical persecution, not persecution, but a bit of physical, get rid of your comforts, a bit harsh, make that environment a little bit harsh. We say toughen them up, toughen these kids up, toughen these people up. Don't give them all their comforts all the time. Yeah, so it's not, air conditioning doesn't work, bad luck, no air conditioning. Yeah, heater doesn't work, bad luck, no heater. Yeah, that's good for getting rid of tamogun, because this tamogun is constantly in search of comfort, constantly looking for comfort. The most comfortable chair, the most comfortable drink, the most comfortable food. It loves comfort. Yeah, sometimes you have to deny that comfort and say no comfort for you. All this develops strength. It purges tamogun and it makes you stronger. Okay. So now you understand what tapas is. Now, what does tapas give us? With the practice of tapas, what do we gain? Yeah. Now we've already seen tapas, obviously, if it is giving single pointedness of attention, then which one of those deficits is it going to address? Which one of the deficits? Someone can answer. I gave 3 deficits earlier.
Distraction.
Huh? Which one? Say again.
Distraction.
Distraction. We said distraction was a problem. Yeah. So we said dullness, distraction, and then lack of knowledge. Yeah. So tapas addresses distraction. Now you ask if we all have distraction, isn't it? We're all distracted in some way. Yeah. Therefore, for all of us, tapas is good. Now, don't think, I know when you say distraction, everyone is thinking of their teenage child. Very distracted actually. Swamiji, good. Swamiji, can you pause for 5 minutes? I'll quickly grab my child. Come here. Listen, Swamiji is going to tell you why you need to be more focused. Now, while Swamiji is teaching, I'm going to handle some emails and send out something, but you listen to Swamiji. I'm perfectly focused and attuned to everything. Yeah. No, this is for you only. Okay. This is for you. This is not for your child. Don't think of your teenager. Think of yourself. If you're having issues thinking of yourself, get a little mirror and put it in front of yourself right now. And then you should look at yourself and say, this is for you. This is not for your teenage child. Yeah. Like I said, why people struggle with parenting so much? Because they're not attentive to children. Why there's so many parenting issues and all that, especially with teenagers, because they're not able to pay subtle attention. You pay subtle, focused attention. Focused attention, you will find things. And that's what it says here. So it's very interesting. When you read Shastra, I was thinking how to take this topic. And I thought this word tapas, you know where it comes a lot in? This word tapas comes a lot in the Puranas. Yeah, I already said, we've seen asuras do tapas. But actually, when the Puranas describe the creation of the universe, yeah, then they say that Narayana, he creates Brahmaji from his Nabi. Yeah. Then he says, Brahmaji, you have a job. And Brahmaji, your job is to now create all the universes. I want all the worlds to be made. And then in those worlds, you have to create various people, animals, creatures. You have to create various devatas, manushyas, Tyrian. All this you have to do. So he gives the job of creation to Brahmaji. And he tells Brahmaji, do tapas. The advice of Narayana to Brahma is do tapas. And this is very commonly found in Puranas. It comes again and again and again. So then I thought it would be interesting to take from what the Puranas have to say about this tapas. Because Brahmaji is constantly involved and engaged in tapas. Yeah. So now if we understand, let us look at it from the standpoint of what does Brahmaji represent, Narayana represent. Narayana is a pure consciousness. Brahmaji represents total mind. That's what Brahmaji represents, the total mind which has two powers. The total mind has got two powers. Total mind is called Hiranyagarbha, and it has got Jnana Shakti and Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti, power of knowledge, and Kriya Shakti, power of action. Power of action. These two Shaktis exist in Brahmaji, the total mind. And it is these two powers that he has to engage. He has to manifest these two powers. Power of knowledge, power of action. Yeah. So, what does tapas do? Tapas does exactly that. Tapas engages, enhances, and brings into manifestation these two powers. The power of knowledge becomes manifest via tapas, and the power of action becomes manifest via tapas. Both of them become manifest. Yeah. When I say manifest, that means it goes from potential to performance. We keep on talking about potential, 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 but if your potential does not manifest, that means things are not happening, things will not happen in your life. You may talk about having wonderful potentials, but those potentials have to manifest. How do you get potential to manifest into performance? Tapas is the key. Tapas is the key. You must have tapas. Okay? And that's what is shown through the Puranic story of Brahmaji being created from Narayana. Because Narayana represents pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, there is no performance. Pure consciousness does not manifest. It is nirgunam. No activity. Nishkriyam. It is just satta matram, pure existence. Now that pure consciousness has got late, dormant potential of creation. The potential to create is there, but it is not expressing it. Therefore, in order for it to express, it brings out the total mind, and then it says the total mind, you have to engage in tapas. And when the total mind engages in tapas, now consciousness is able to express. Jnana Shakti comes forth, power of knowledge, Kriya Shakti, power of action. And then you get the worlds. Then the entire universe is created. That's exactly what it says in the Shastra. Some beautiful verses are given there. Bhuyastvam tapaatishta vidyam chaiva madashrayam dhabhyam anta hridi brahman lokandrakshasya pavrutam tapaatishta badram te sarvabhuta sukhavaham tapasaiva yata purva srishta vishwamidam bhavan. So both these verses are taken from Bhagavata. And he said, Bhujastvam tapaatishta. Again engage in tapas. Again do tapas. He's talking, this is Lord talking to Brahmaji. I said, again you engage in tapas. Yeah. What will happen when you do that? Anta hridi lokan apavritan drakshasi. In your heart, you will see all the worlds revealed to you. That's what it says. When you do this tapas, in your heart, the entire universe of knowledge will be revealed to you. It will be revealed to you. So what does this mean? When I sit and start concentrating, focusing, removing all other distractions, Then what happens? Ideas that you've never had start manifesting. Thought processes that were dormant within you start coming into revelation. They come revealed to you. Things which you never considered now all are popping into your head. And even knowledge which you have heard starts becoming clear. Apavritam, revealed. In English, we say the penny drops. There's a saying, the penny drop. I mean, I've heard this 1,000 times. Now I get the point. Yeah. So one, knowledge which you have becomes extremely clear. It actually becomes wisdom. You'll act on it. You know, when the penny drops, that means you act on that knowledge. Yeah. So through tapas, existing knowledge becomes wisdom. And through tapas, dormant knowledge, things which you never had in your head, they start manifesting. That's what's very exciting. That's a very exciting process. Things that you've never even manifested start manifesting. It can be ideas, it can be clarity, concepts, it can be expression of love, poetry. So anything can come out. Anything can come. You know, when people are creative and innovation, that's what comes out. It's that creativity and innovation, it comes. And all of a sudden, this new idea, wow, this would be a great idea. We should go ahead. And innovation means the rest of the world has never seen it before. It's new. Yeah, that starts coming forth. How does that come forth? Through tapas. If you don't have tapas, that creativity, innovation does not manifest. You have to understand one thing. Every person has got this within them. Every person has got creativity and innovation within them. It is about whether we engage in tapas to bring it out. Yeah? And what does that tapas mean? You have to sit in isolation. You have to sit with full focus and concentration upon this thought, this idea, this feeling. Sometimes it's a feeling. And when you sit in that isolation and undistracted with this thought and feeling, its depth all of a sudden becomes revealed. Some of you are practicing introspection, and with introspection, you have to practice tapas. Because sometimes there are thoughts floating in our heads, and there are feelings going on. I don't know why I feel so uncomfortable with this person. Yeah, I don't know why I feel so uncomfortable when this topic is raised. When they talk about this, I don't like it at all, actually. Feelings come, thoughts come, but we can't track their origin. We don't know where they are coming from. That means we don't have depth. That depth is not there. We're not understanding their origin, from where they are bubbling. When you have tapas, that origin gets revealed. The origin of the feeling gets revealed. The origin of the thought gets revealed. Yeah. So in introspection, tapas is very important because you get a lot of self-revelation takes place. A lot of things about yourself become revealed, and you're like, oh, I didn't realize I had this type of thought sitting in my antakarana, ego. So one, self-revelation. And then sometimes you have concepts about this world, and about this world, revelation can take place. People's behavior, how the world works. That also becomes clear. So about how the world works, you can have revelation. And then you can have innovation, creativity. When you understand how the world works, then how to benefit that world, how to contribute to that world, those ideas also come. Yeah. All this is born out of tapas. That if I have that tapas, this is what can manifest. New ideas, exciting innovation, self-revelation, world revelation. You get clarity about the world, clarity about yourself, and then beautiful ideas on how you can contribute to that world. Yeah. These are all the things that come out. Tapas. So tapas, this is the jnana shakti. This is the power of knowledge which is coming. Okay. Now the other shakti, power of creation. That now when these ideas have come, innovation has come, clarity has come, now how do I act upon it? Yeah, how do I act upon it? How do I make this a reality? Because currently it's just sitting in my head, but I now want to make this my reality. How do I change my life and make this my reality? For that, you will need the power of action. And in that power of action, yeah, to harness the full power of action, we need to practice again tapas. Because at this point in time, if you look at it, we all have some capacity, but our capacity is very limited. It's very limited. We are not expressing our full capacity. Now, in this day and age, okay, there's one thing called physical labor, but you know, a lot of our work actually takes place in the form of communication. When communication is very clear, powerful, and has got the proper emotion behind it, you can transform masses of people. You can inspire masses of people, or you can win the heart of one person. Sometimes we don't want to transform the entire universe. It's just the other person in the house which I'm having problems with. It's just that person I need to deal with. So I keep saying, but they don't do. And so sometimes it is that one person that requires vak shakti, vak speech. Speech is a karmendriya. Don't forget that. It's an organ of action, speech. And so that organ of action, that can be enhanced through tapas. I have read many emails where we have groups and all that. You have a group, you know, even you will know, even on WhatsApp, you know, WhatsApp groups and all that, you're organizing some team meeting project. And it's so fascinating when you read them, you can see one person miscommunicates one point. It just triggers off everyone else in the group. And everyone else in the group is just saying, no, I don't agree with that. No, that's wrong. This is wrong. Just because this one person said one thing incorrectly. Either they expressed it incorrectly or the bhava was incorrect. The bhava means the attitude. Yeah. So they said the right words, but the bhava is not quite clear. It's called bhava dosha. Bhava dosha means defect of, like sarcasm. When people say something sarcastic, then you don't quite know, are they being genuine or they're being sarcastic? They're making fun of you. It's called bhava dosha. It triggers off all these other emotions in other people, which is not what you intended to do. It's contrary to your intention. So then you have to spend a whole lot of time cleaning up that mess from your first statement, to then sit there and now explain clearly what you do. But what this is a lack of vak pututvam. You know, Hanumanji, vak pututvam. One of his skills is mastery of speech. Yeah. Buddhir balam yashodhairyam nirvayatvam arogata ajadyam vak pututvam cha hanumat smaranad bhavet. Vak pututvam is a mastery of speech. Mastery of speech means the right words, right time, and also right bhava. Emotion should also be there behind it. To bring the right words, right time, with the right emotion, tapas is required. focused attention is required. We all know that now we're handling so much correspondence on the move, isn't it? We're answering emails, where we're typing and walking through the house and doing various things. Sometimes on a train and a bus we're handling. And if we do it like that, we know sometimes we miss something. We didn't read the person's email and then we quickly reply and say, what time? What time is this thing? And then if you read the email properly, time, date, venue was all given. But you don't pay attention. And that has impact, because then the person receiving your message, you don't pay attention to these messages. They recognize that you don't pay attention to these things, and actually they lose respect for you. This person doesn't have that type of buddhi. They're not paying attention. Yeah. So you lose respect. That's an outcome of distraction. And so, one aspect is when we practice tapas, our speech should become clearer, more proficient, and more efficient also in how we use. I always told that people's vocabulary, our vocabulary becomes a big problem. When you have limited vocabulary, you have a limited skill in expressing thought. Always remember, thought is subtle, words are gross. So it's always hard to take something subtle and make it manifest, because the subtler thing is always more pervasive. Vapor, water vapor is more pervasive than liquid and ice. A thought and a feeling is more pervasive than what our words can actually express. And then when our words and vocabulary are limited, then our chances of expressing subtle ideas become very problematic. Subtle thoughts, subtle ideas are extremely limited by vocabulary. And if you don't have sufficient vocabulary, then you can't get to subtleties of emotions. That's why for everything we use the word love. I love this, I love that. We don't know any other word besides love only. So I love you, but I also love ice cream. Now, when you love ice cream and you love your husband, does that mean the husband is the same as ice cream? Frozen, cold personality, not very sweet, sometimes sweet, some few chunky parts in him as well. Chocolate chips, They're the same thing. I love my dog, Now, you love your dog, you love your husband. Now, when you say I love the dog, people can get confused, because this day and age, the dog has got more value sometimes than the people in the house. Yeah, so they actually start feeling, I think the dog is more important than me nowadays. I don't feel like you even love me anymore. Yeah. But you see, because we only have one word for love, we get caught in that. When you read Shastra has so many different words. Yeah, for love. It's so fascinating. That love for actually wife, for husband, for God, all the different words are used. Different words are used. Yeah, we have sneha, we have prema, we have bhakti, we have jara. All the different types of words are used. In English, we have infatuation. Infatuation is it. Person, I'm infatuated. Then when you're infatuated with someone, that does not mean love. Yeah? Like generally when we're young people get infatuated with each other. But they say, I love so much. And then if you have been married 20 years, this is not love. This is infatuation. Also. No, I love my whole heart and soul. You don't even know you have a soul. What are you talking about? You're atheist at this point in time. How do you even know you have a soul? And how does this soul love anything anyway? Well, no. Well, we use the same word for everything, and therefore it becomes very confusing to understand how much is this person devoted to these things. We have words like devoted, committed, dedicated. Even these have got subtle differences. Commitment to something is very head orientated, but devoted to something involves heart orientation. So commitment is like I have a responsibility to fulfill. I'm committed to fulfilling my responsibility. I'm not necessarily devoted to that thing. Yeah. You may be committed to your job. Or we are devoted to our family. Well, in family, there is heart element. Yeah. So there are subtle inflections, but you have to have mastery of language. So this mastery of language comes to tapas. This tapas brings this out. Now I just talked about speech. Now even physical skill, because other karmendriyas are what? Grasping, locomotion, physical strength. All that is also brought out through tapas. Dexterity. Nowadays, the greatest dexterity we need, how to type. Typing is the greatest dexterity we need, isn't it? How fast can you type? Type and text. Yeah. So typing and texting, even that requires physical dexterity. That requires attention, to pay attention. Yeah. And he says here, he says, Brahmaji, with tapas, you will become Jagat Srishta. Srishta, creator of the entire world. Which means when you have practiced tapas and you have now engaged power of action, you can create anything you want. You can create whatever world you want for yourself, you can create that. That's why this tapas is so powerful. This tapas is that which is going to create your universe, your life, our whole life, and the life that we want, the life that we consciously design and then create is all based on our tapas. Otherwise, we're all creating a life, but it's not a life that we consciously want. And then we create something, but it generally ends up falling into the category called mess. Yeah, and then we have to fix that up later on. Yeah. But here, this Brahmaji, he's creating beautiful things. He does so much tapas. Bhagavan has told him. So you see now the benefit of tapas. That through tapas, Jnana Shakti, Kriya Shakti, power of knowledge, power of action, both become manifest. Okay, and what is that tapas? That tapas is manasascha indriyanam ekagriyam, single pointedness of mind and senses. So now why have been answered? Well, how do we develop more tapas? So find the local river, and in the middle of winter, go stand in that river on one leg, hand up. That's the only sadhana I will give to you. No, you can't do that. But make sure you put your face mask on, because COVID regulations, even if you're standing in the river, you should have face mask on. No, that is the old Puranic method. we won't ask you to do such ugra tapas. But I was looking up different things on focus, how to develop greater focus. Yeah. So they have different things. Nowadays people are having a lot of spare time because not traveling. So you have to engage. They say engage your brain in certain exercises. So your brain should be engaged in exercises that enhance its focus, attention, memory. So there are some games that are based on memory. Actually, when we were kids, there was a game called Memory Itself. We played with cards. You just put the cards upside down, and you have to turn them up, and then you have to match the cards. But every time you got it wrong, you close the card. So it's always closed. You have to remember where the cards are. Then whoever makes all the pairs, they win. Yeah. So even there's simple games like this, but you see, these type of games, they require memory capacity. So it engages a more useful capacity. There are many games where you just sit there and shoot things and all that type of stuff. They're not really engaging these aspects of your brain. Yeah. Then I think they said things like even this Sudoku and all that. I have not played Sudoku and all that, but I think this Sudoku and all that type of thing, these things are also there. They used to have, I think they still have it, adult coloring books. Adult coloring books are meant to enhance single pointedness of attention. because they make the design so intricate, and then you must color within that box. So anything that requires fine intricacy, attention. Traditionally we had Rangoli, which is Rangoli. But Rangoli that itself is a tapas. You have to pay full attention to how that, and then people can do it very well. It's very nice. They've got great concentration. Yeah. So even these type of hobbies, these type of hobbies, but hobbies where you apply your attention and focus. There's other things that are very useful also is now for us, spending time in nature is very important. And when we say spending time in nature, that means you don't take your iPad and iPhones and a computer and go sit out in nature. No. Disconnecting. Actually, we just disconnect from this world. You will find that so many things come into your mind. You actually don't need to do anything. Just disconnect. That's the main thing. Once you disconnect, all your powers will come back. All our powers are drained because we are connected to the world the whole time, browsing. And you'll notice on every screen, some pop-up thing will come, advert. Yeah, that if once you browse for shoes online, that's it, finished. Shoes will constantly shoes. Somebody's chappals will be in your face the whole time. Yeah, so you'll be worshipping somebody's padukas, but it will not be Bhagavan's padukas. Somebody else's padukas will be worshipped. Yeah, so shoes. So, all online is so filled with distraction because actually they're trying to see how many things we can pack into that screen, so you'll eventually purchase something. So just disconnecting can free our space. Now, when people disconnect and sit in the house, they get very bored. So they look at the wall and I don't know nothing to do. The wall is boring. So go to nature. When you go out into nature, you should pay attention to the different types of trees, the different types of, even grass. There's different types of grass that's there. There's different types of soil, different flowering plants, different types of birds. And you should keen observation of all these things. I know a man, he used to do bird watching. Bird watching is good because then you have to see the different birds have got different kind of designs, They present differently. And it's very interesting to watch. Our ashram got many different birds. So in the morning, I sometimes watch them all. How they behave is very fascinating. Which one is a dominant bird? Which one is aggressive bird? Which is territorial bird? Which is quite happy, chirpy bird? They all got different personalities, actually. Yeah. Then some come in pairs. They always come in pairs. So if one comes, the other one is somewhere around here. Then it's very interesting to see their behavior. One is always dominant. Always takes this and eats all the food. The other one just sits around and waits for the other one and then eats after that. All these type of behaviors are there. Very fascinating in nature. Yeah. Different flowers, when they flower, how they flower, under what conditions, all this type of, just pay attention. We're not making an assignment out of this. Okay, you don't need to make it a horticultural assignment based on your local park, but just pay attention. We don't see any of these things. So we have cherry blossom. Cherry blossom is coming full. It is full. Yeah. So you can see it. Maybe I can just take the camera and show you the cherry blossom right now. I don't know if you can see out the window. Can you see? There's a cherry blossom. Yeah, you can see in the corner. Yeah. So that has come. So I know this is the season for cherry blossom. That has come. So like this, when you spend time in nature, nature itself got so much variety. No tree is the same, no leaf is the same, no flower is the same. They all have got subtle differences. We didn't pay attention. So time in nature, it has tremendous impact upon us. Yeah. And that's why, like when we had natural gardens are very helpful that way. The artificial gardens, what's happening is that variety is gone. Everything looks the same. Yeah. But in natural gardens, there is natural differences, subtle differences that come. And they're most fascinating to observe. They keep the mind fascinated, but also focused. So time in nature. Yeah. Then they even say exercise is also useful. Why exercise is useful? Because whenever you do something physical and a little bit physically demanding, you actually cannot engage elsewhere. Because your body, just to make sure your body is doing the right thing, your full effort has to go into that. That's why sports are very good, and very rigorous sports can be very good. People who play very rigorous sports, you cannot pay attention to anything else because your full attention has to be on the ball, wherever the ball is. Then how you step, how you move, how you shift your weight, how much pressure to apply. Like tennis. Tennis has got a tremendous amount of attention that's required because they say everything is based on footwork. You know, sports that are very dynamic, they all of a sudden, they flush your mind of the world, and the competitor must have their full attention on that sport, on every element of it. Yeah? Not just the ball and the goal. They have to know how their body is going to get to the ball by avoiding the opponent, avoiding injury, how much energy to use, how much muscle contraction, so that it doesn't get exerted, overused, or injured. All this, good players are aware of all this. Good players know how much to stretch, how much not to stretch. That do I take this in one leap or two small steps? Yeah. All this is tremendous amount of energy, like focus, that goes just onto your immediate surroundings and your present moment. That's why in sports, the key is you have to be present in all sports. The minute you're distracted, you'll miss it. You'll miss it. And that's why, you know, in all sports, there's a level that physical skill gets to, and then after that, there's a mental skill. That mental skill is the tapas. The champions who sit on the top, they've got very powerful minds, actually. The tapo shakti is very powerful. But in the midst of defeat and loss, they still keep concentrating. Every shot they concentrate. Yeah. So sport is very good. And you know, some people now when they get middle-aged and all that, say, oh no, I try anything, I get sore knee, sore back and all that. Everything is sore the whole time. You should not give up. You should not give up. You actually have to go back. The reason you're getting injuries is because you're not paying attention to your body. You're not paying attention to how much exertion, where the exertion is taking place, which joint is under pressure. And if you just do it like that, it's fascinating. I used to do jogging. And with jogging, you have to be aware of how fast your heart rate should go, because it should not go too high. If it goes too high, it's overexertion and you'll burn out quickly. Yeah. Then if it's too low, you find you're not achieving any cardiovascular workout. So there's a certain rate that you have to get your heart towards. And even when you jog, how much is your weight shifting from one leg to the next leg? Which joint is taking all the weight and the pressure? Which muscle is taking? Wherever you're getting pain, invariably there's some sort of weakness and stiffness connected to that joint. Yeah. I know middle-aged Indians, we all love giving up on exercise. We never engaged in exercise in the first place, and then we just go straight for yoga. Yoga is good. Yoga also should be done with full attention, but you should not also give up dynamic things as well. Yeah, because dynamic things, it just requires you to pay attention. And it's fantastic because you can't think of anything else. So it flushes your mind of thoughts of past and thoughts of future, and it keeps you only in present moment. Therefore, exercise is very beneficial. Mm-hmm. And recently I just read, now I don't know, this one will have to be researched a little bit, but they were saying even for people nowadays, listening to soothing music while they study is quite helpful. Mm-hmm. I know when I grew up, we were silent. I was silent when I studied, no music, no noise. And then I found I became very focused. Even now it works for me. But I think what's happened nowadays is because we are so used to background noise. We're so used to a TV being on. We're so used to some gadget in the room playing music, having some Facebook thing going on, or some YouTube video going on, You know, because we're so used to being overstimulated, they are now just going for understimulation. Because our minds can't tolerate no stimulation. No stimulation is silence. Silence may now become too confronting for many of us. Therefore, from silence, if you can't tolerate silence, you do low-level stimulation. That means you can have some background, soothing, calming music going on. But when you have that going on, you should turn off everything else. Then you should have no other screens going on, no other. All of us are caught in having everything multi-tabs open, isn't it? There's always multiple tabs going on, multiple things happening, because our computers have allowed us to do all this multitasking. So because our minds have become so used to multitasking, actually now the advice is you can't go from multitasking to no tasking. You have to go from multitasking to like minimal tasking. Then from minimal tasking, you have to go to no tasking. That's your meditation. That's why people find it hard to engage in meditation if they're used to a life of multitasking. You will not be able to get into meditation. The gap is too big. It's too big. So then you have to have a little platform in the middle. And then from there, you have to go to this platform in the middle is now what they are saying, that you can now even have some background music going on while you are doing your work. Recently, one lady just asked me, she's getting upset because her child constantly got music going on while they study. Why do these children constantly have music while they're studying? But I think now that is a part of the generation now. That is actually useful for that generation, because that generation has been raised with white noise, with background distraction noise going on, whether it's a device or a YouTube or a phone or a notification. It is clinically evident that the generations are losing their attention span. That is becoming very clear now. That they're not able to pay attention for very long, and so then even now when I teach, you guys can all sit there for 75 minutes, no participation, completely passive, and everyone's paying attention. The youth class is struggling. They say classes are too long, and in that we put half an hour discussion. It's full engagement with discussion, and even after that they still get go too long, Hamaji, too long. You have to make everything 5 minutes. 5 minutes. Because attention is very low. So we have to accept now this is the standard. The standard is dropped. When the standard is dropped, more crutches have to be given. So I think that's why now they're recommending you can have music when you study, because the music becomes the crutch. Yeah? Because without that crutch, it's almost like an abyss. That to jump that whole gap, it's too far. Therefore, we give them a little wayside station. Come to here, and then from here, hopefully you will get to there. This is the new normal now. I'm telling you, because many of you are parents of teenagers, and this will become your issue. So don't write to me about why, Swamiji, my children have issues with music. Let them listen to music, okay? If they can turn off their other devices, let them listen to music, because this is the new standard. But to reset the standard. Every yuga, every time period, standard must be reset. Okay, so we'll now permit music when they study. Okay, so these are different ways. And of course, things like sleep. They talk about sleep being very important. Getting your certain amount of hours of deep sleep, not disturbed sleep, not lying in bed. I hate it, man. You must get a certain amount of hours. That's up to you. Whatever your hours are for your optimal functioning. I'm not going to say 8 hours. For me, 8 hours is way too much. But each person will figure out how many hours they need, or you must get those hours. If you're having trouble getting those hours, then they say routine is very important. Getting into a routine of sleeping at the same time and getting up at the same time, that's very helpful. And then you must have a wind down, a wind down routine. That prior to sleep, you must have a routine of preparation. And a lot of that does involve disconnecting from technology. Yeah. Reading a paper book. Yeah. And then dimming the lights. Yeah. All these type of things. These things, common sense things, you can figure them out. But these are some of the techniques on how you can develop greater focus and concentration. Of course, other simple things, obviously, whenever you're engaged on work, I would always advise reduce the amount of tabs that you have open. Cut out all the tabs. You know, some people also have multiple devices, some of the old laptops and all that. Yeah? I would sometimes recommend people, you keep one laptop that you do your work on, and then one laptop is all your fun and distraction, so that you also separate these two things. So the laptop that you do your work on is not the laptop that you are doing your Facebook paging and social media and YouTube and all that. So your mind then creates a distinction that when I'm at this place with this device, this is the work to be done. And when I go to that place with that device, that is the type of engagement that is available there. So separating things. That, of course, depends on how many things you have available. But even disciplines with the devices, I rarely, will answer emails on the phone because it doesn't seem to work properly, seeing attachments and all that. So certain disciplines that emails are handled on computer. And even in your life, you have to create discipline with the world. That administrative things should not go to WhatsApp. You have to do things like that because now everything is a WhatsApp, right? So some people now send administration issues through WhatsApp. So you have to be disciplined in that administrative issues don't go to WhatsApp, because WhatsApp has got a very confusing tone to it. WhatsApp largely is social and insignificant type of communications. Yeah. So it's a lot of forwards. It's a lot of unnecessary forwards that come through on WhatsApp. There's a lot of chat, a lot of banter. Yeah. But there's not a lot of meaningful things. Your meaningful things now, you should keep in one area, one type of communication. This is how you become disciplined in your forms of communication. That is a form of tapas. So that when I know if I'm opening an email, that is full attention. If I'm opening a WhatsApp, that's half attention. That's why we know that while we're sitting with people, we check WhatsApps. Yeah, while we're eating food, we go through WhatsApps. So WhatsApp, we only give very little attention. But we know if we're handling an email and it requires a lot more attention, then that should be done at a proper device in a quiet environment. These are all small disciplines we have to now work with. It's called technology management. Yeah, all this is technology management. Okay, these are all forms of tapas because they are just clearing out distraction. Okay, so with that, now we finished our topic on tapas. So you don't need to jump in the river, yeah, and stand on the one leg. Okay, you can just practice these things. What, why, and how has been covered. And I've had your full attention for 75 minutes. Isn't that magnificent? You should all give a pat on the back to all of you. You're all about very good attention span. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari